Yeah.
Send it, and then you.
I think we're talking to each other.
Cool.
Like there doesn't need to be. And so right now,
Hey channel.
hey channel, make sure you spank that subscribe button.
That subscribe button. Oh man.
Shit.
Make that subscribe button's butt cheeks red. It's been a bad button. We're off to a great start.
The best start. Fucking A. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit of this. This is my best friend in the whole wide world. His name is Ben. And we have a really similar background on like food and body stuff.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about right before this, like, spank that record button, about how it doesn't get talked enough.
Yeah.
About for like dudes in particular.
Yeah.
And I think like my experience of having those kinds of issues, especially in my youth, was like I remember in it's like sixth grade. Sixth grade. Me and my buddy Joe were having a sleepover in his basement, and it was like summer vacation. You're like, you know what girls like? Girls like dudes with muscles. And so we literally, until like 2 or 3 in the morning, were doing push-ups and sit-ups in his fucking basement with like reruns of Fresh Prince playing in the background.
We've all been there. All done it.
And I got so convinced that like that was the path forward.
Yeah.
And that was like what got me into lifting in my teens and like eventually competitive bodybuilding and all these kinds of things. And like, had I had somebody at any of those junctions in my life that could have been like, dude, like this is feeling squirrely, like it just any sort of guidance.
Any resource.
Yeah.
Anybody besides your parents.
Dude, and my parents were feeding into it. Because for me, with my dad, I love you, Dad, diet was always starting Monday.
Yeah.
There was always like, he would go buy a new juicing machine or a new blender or buy a new like diet book or whatever, and it was like always going to be Monday would be his new start. And so for me, I was always kind of looking at him and at his life as like, wow, if I'm not like on it, I've got to start being on it.
Right.
And then if I ever fall off the bandwagon, it's like I need to get good again. I shouldn't say my parents fed into that. Like I don't feel like I got that from my mom as much, but sorry.
But definitely from your dad. No, I was just thinking like, you know, that it's really interesting. Your kind of situation versus mine. You know, yours was all like, you know, get bigger, get muscles, and mine was for a long time. It was like get smaller, and get smaller and have abs. Those are your two options. I almost wonder if there's a piece of that where like, you know, your dad sees that, and your dad sees you like, you know, being a man and trying to get big and getting muscles, but not necessarily knowing the psychology behind it or like seeing the psychology behind it, and therefore not being concerned. You know, might see it as like a totally normal thing, as I'm sure you did too.
Dude, totally. I think that's so much of it. I think that's, I think for dudes in particular, that's what's actually so nefarious about fitness.
Yeah.
And especially like really pursuing fitness, whether it's like bodybuilding competitions or whatever, is we get told so much outside looking in. Like, you're doing great.
Yeah.
You look amazing.
It's
you're
like
so
what's
dedicated.
expected.
Yeah, we're supposed to be jacked.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be jacked, tan, and awesome.
Right.
And if we're not, then there's something wrong with me. And so I get to go climb the worth ladder and get enough muscle to be safe and worthy and loved in this life.
Yeah. Yeah, I had the exact same thing. But again, like, you know, my whole thing was like, get smaller, like be skinny, have abs. It was all about abs.
Yeah.
But it was the exact same thing for me. It was like, you know, I will be X weight, and then I will, you know, be worth it.
Yes.
I will, you know, have a 6-pack, and then girls will like me.
Yeah.
I will have an 8-pack, and then I will be like worthy of love. You know, it's weird. It's weird where it comes from. You know, because it's not like I want to be big and muscular to be like big and muscular, or I want to be like, you know, shredded to be shredded. It's like I want these things because I want to like feel worthy. I want other people to see them. It's not for me, it's for everybody else.
No, because like any conversation I have, especially like for me, it was like I want to be attractive to girls.
Yeah.
Was like the thing I was looking for. And spoiler alert, if you get jacked, the only thing that happens is dudes ask you how much you can bench.
Dudes love you.
Dudes fucking love you.
Like, nice calves, bro.
What's your bicep protocol? And very few women ever peruse, and if anything, like most women that I talk to are actually like more comfortable and confident around a dude with like a quote unquote normal man.
Yeah. Yeah, that's been my experience too.
Yeah.
Like I think I don't know, it seems like every partner I've had is always like, yeah, I wanted to be with somebody who's like, you know, in good shape and like takes care of themselves, but like it does not need to be their lifestyle, like, nor should it, or like consume their entire
100%. Yeah, because it becomes like, is this the kind of guy that I'm going to be able to like go out and have a life with, or does he have leg day tomorrow?
Yeah.
And so we go to bed at 8 and he's eating egg whites by 5 in the morning. Like it's not as conducive to a fulfilling life in my experience.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm curious, like we were talking before this about like kind of going through the chronological story.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I haven't gotten to hear from you, and so it sounds like it's really not something you've gotten to like fully articulate.
Yeah, it's something, I don't know, it's something I like think about a lot, but I don't know, it's been a long time since I've been there, you know, I'm 32 now, so that was half my life ago. And yeah, it's been a long time since I've just like thought about all the pieces it took to get there. For me, like, I remember this stuff starting back as far as 5th grade. I was 10, you know, and so I've told you this before, I had gynecomastia, and it was bad. Like, I know that is an issue like a lot of dudes struggle with, and I feel like some people, and I'm not trying to say like mine was worse than X person's, but like, you know, some people they'll say they have gynecomastia and they maybe have like kind of puffy nipples or like a little something there. I had like full on breasts, and like that started happening when I was 10 years old, which is crazy. Like, I did not think about my body at all growing up at all, and then all of a sudden it was like the only thing I could think of. I remember being in like the school play, and we like all the boys got together and like we got together. All the boys went into, you know, the boys' bathroom to like get into our costumes and stuff. And I just remember noticing that like people's bodies were different than mine, you know, to like specifically people's chests. And I was like cognizant of it, but it didn't really start bothering me until I got to middle school. Middle school, like, honestly, you know what, I take that back. Middle school was kind of fine. Middle school still wasn't bad. I feel like that was kind of like before kids got really into bullying each other. When I got to high school, that's when like it got really bad. People started to notice. People started to call it out. You know, Ben's got man tits, all of this stuff. Like even my friends, you know, and like I would kind of laugh it off. But it was tough. It was really, really hard, and it just it really messed with my brain. And just it you know, that was kind of like the first part of my brain like having this warped view of how I looked and how important that was to anybody but me. It got so bad I like isolated myself from my friends. Like I thought people hated me. I thought I was weird. If I was like ever in a room with people and someone was laughing, God, this is so specific. If I was ever in a room with people and like somebody was laughing, my brain immediately went, they're laughing at me. Yeah. So yeah, it was really bad. I wound up like isolating myself from my friends. I got really, really depressed, angry, just like, you know, I was like 15 too. So it was that much worse. They took the hormone dials and just cranked it up to 11,000. It was a nightmare. And my dad noticed one day, and it's interesting, you know, my dad is not, you know, he's like your dad. He's a guy's guy, you know. He's not necessarily like, I don't want to say he's not emotionally intelligent, but he's not the most emotionally intelligent. But when you're, you know, teenagers failing school and completely alone, like you get it. So he one day I was just like breaking down, and he was like, "What is wrong with you?" And I like, grabbed my body. I was like, "What do you think? Like, we all know, you know." And he was really awesome. He wrote this long letter to our insurance company, because that was not something that's covered under insurance typically. Wrote this long letter and basically begged them to like help me out with this procedure, to get like that all removed. And it worked. Like, he got it. He got us like completely taken care of. We found this like kick-ass surgeon down in Denver who's like one of the best in the country, I guess. Like, it was amazing. I wound up getting surgery. I had my gynecomastia removed. And this is where it starts to get weird, as if the rest wasn't weird already. This is where it starts to get strange, because like, now my body is completely different, but it's like weird now. Yeah, it's I had scars. Like, I don't know. I got kind of like chubby when I was that age, so like I still had like a lot left over that I wasn't happy with. It wasn't like, okay, this is the thing that like makes me happy. This is the thing that like cures all my problems. It's like, okay, there's one gone. So again, like you would think like, okay, this is gone, like body image issues gone, right? It was not. It was just not that at all. So after that, I started hanging out with some old friends again. I like made new friends. I was in like a really good spot in my life, and some of my friends at the time were like just little gym rats, much like you and your buddies.
Yeah.
But it was like, we were 17. We had no idea what we were doing. We'd go throw bicep curls all day and be like, yeah, what a great workout. But I loved it. I loved, like, I started, I should backtrack. I started going to the gym with them, and I loved it. I got like obsessed, because I was like, I didn't know how to like change my appearance before. I was like, all of a sudden I was like, oh shit, I have like control over the way my body looks, and I can like feel good about it for the first time in a long time. I like lost a lot of weight, like really slimmed down, like it was really good, and I was like really healthy, but it just like, it was never enough, just wanted to like keep on losing and losing and losing and losing. I keep on going back to the six-pack thing.
Yeah.
That was it. I wanted a six-pack so badly. It's like, my friends had them, and like, Goku had one. It was like a lot of external influence there, but I was like, that's the thing. After I graduated high school, went to college, and the first year I lived away from home, we had a little fitness center in the gym there. And like I had kind of stayed active through that time, but that was when I started getting really, really into like a thing. I started getting really into running. I would go in like the fitness center of the dorm, not dorm, that I lived in at like 5 a.m. to go run on the treadmill. Like, that's how much I actually like enjoyed doing it. I was like, I want to be doing this, and like I never played sports or anything growing up, and it was the first kind of thing I did athletically where I felt like, oh, I'm kind of good at this. This like feels good for me. Like, I feel like I'm kind of wired for this. But then I got like super into running, and I started doing 5Ks and 10Ks and a half marathon, like all the way up to doing like a full marathon. And I got down to, like, I started losing weight, as one does when they run.
Yeah.
I got down to like 100, I think at my lowest, I was 125 pounds.
And you're what?
I'm 6 feet tall. I'm 5'11" and 3/4. I get to round up.
Yeah, you do. If you had a dating profile, you'd be 6 foot.
I'd be 6'1".
All the 5'9" guys, aka me, in the chatter church. Who put 5'10" on his profile?
No.
But anyway, so the important part here: 125 and 6 foot.
Yeah. Like,
Fuck, man.
skeletal.
Yeah.
It was really bad. Around that time, I started just getting into, like, just really into dieting, too. You know, like, I was like, I want to optimize my diet for running, which was code for, I want to have a really horrible eating disorder. Terrible! Like, before that, food was not really much of a problem.
Yeah.
You know, it was maybe, like, I worked out a little excessively.
Yeah.
Food was not so bad.
I feel like that's how it starts.
Yeah.
A lot of the time.
But the,
Exercise first, and then inevitably at some point I could perform better. That's how it showed up for me. It's like I could perform better and take the training more seriously if I like ate better.
yeah.
And then very quickly it becomes, well, I could eat better than I'm eating now. I could eat so goddamn clean, Mr. Like the brawny man wouldn't know what to do with me. And it just it doesn't ever stop.
Yeah, because there's no end to that. There's no perfect.
No.
You know, you always just make that little tweak or remove that one last thing. It gets nuts. And yeah, I did the exact same thing. I got like so insane restrictive with my diet. That was ironically that was when I got into like kind of the paleo stuff, which has framed a lot of the way I approach the world now.
Yeah.
But in a very different way. Like I'll throw down on bread and ice cream. You know, I'm not saying pinto beans are gonna kill you and steal your wallet. But I started getting into the paleo stuff around that time. And that's a pretty restricted thing to begin with. I got like even more restricted from there, and it was because, for the first time, I was seeing the six pack. I was like, oh my god, I'm there. It's exactly what you were just saying with food. I did it. I'm there. I reached it. But it could be a little better. Yeah. I could see. And I didn't see this back then. I could see my abs. Cool.
Yeah.
But I did not have like an ounce of muscle. I was a skeleton again. My family noticed, obviously, and like called me out on it, and I tried to justify it every which way. I was like, I have a really fast metabolism. Oh, I've been running so much. Everything I could possibly think of to kind of weasel my way away from it. But there's only so long you can tell yourself like, oh, I don't have a problem before it just kind of all comes crashing down. I started. It was like halfway through my sophomore year of college. I went into like another very like deep depression. I'm realizing like every 7 years I just get so unbelievably depressed. It's like, they say you regenerate all your cells once every 7 years. All of my new cells are like,
life is suffering.
This sucks.
I was born to just feel pain.
I was born to die. But yeah, I went into another really deep depression. I had like a really bad roommate situation. There was just a lot happening in my life, and I felt like, it's cliche to say, but I was like, okay, like food and my body, that's one thing I can control.
Yes.
In a situation where I did not feel like I had a lot of that. But from there, it went from like my parents saying, hey, like you're eating too little, we're worried about you. I picked up on that. I was like, I get where you're coming from. Okay, I'm gonna try. And I tried to, I was justifying it in my head, just like you were talking about, like, oh, it's for my performance. And I'm gonna need to perform, and blah, 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 blah. But what actually happened was I just went in the complete opposite direction and had like a horrible binge eating thing for a while, like an entire semester, basically. And like a little into the summer, if not longer than that. I would just, we had a cafeteria in that building. I would go down and just like load it with as much stuff as I possibly could, and then like go eat it alone in my room and be like, telling myself, I'm like, I need this, this is fuel, this is calories, this is blah blah blah. But again, you know what it really was me just being like, I can only have this thing once, so I'm gonna do it now. You know,
Yes.
I can't have this later.
Yes.
That spiraled pretty out of control in the opposite direction, but that's when things kind of started shifting for me. That's when things kind of started getting better. So, you know, I had undereating stuff, I had overeating stuff, you know, sprinkled in with some just awful body image stuff. It was a bad time. I'd seen the whole spectrum. But then I don't even know what the shift was. It just kind of like changed one day, right? I think it was right after I ran the Chicago Marathon. I kind of came home and just like I had these full-length mirrors in my dorm, like the entire wall was a mirror. I saw myself like in the mirror after that, and I was like, this doesn't seem good, you know, like this doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
You know, I felt kind of just like frail and small and just not good. And that's when I started like lifting weights and like kind of taking that seriously, focusing on eating more and like eating better, but like actually for real this time. It's weird. There's this big mindset shift somewhere in there, but I didn't have like a moment, you know? It's just like, yeah, one day I just kind of started taking care of myself. And I wish it was that easy for everybody.
Dude,
you know?
I mean, so I have a question first. How much do you think that like looking in the mirror coinciding with the marathon being over? Like, do you think that compounded, right? So it's like you had summited the hill, done the thing, and then there was like a gap there. So like in bodybuilding, we used to call that the post-show blues.
Yeah.
You would like finish your show, and then a lot of us would go through like either a huge like body weight rebound or not know what to do, so we would just pick another show out there in the future.
Right.
But it almost feels like there was a space created for you in finishing the marathon that like provided a gap where you could look at it and be like, this doesn't feel right anymore.
I think you're exactly right. Pre-marathon, I had like, I was as into running then as I am into jiu-jitsu now.
That's like a lot of into.
Yeah, it was. I was like so serious about it, and I had these ambitions of like, okay, a marathon is just the start. You know, I was like, I was on like the Runners World forums. Shout out! I was on the Runners World forums all day. I was like reading books about running, and I was like, everything in my life was running, and I was like, oh, there's something beyond the marathon. There's like ultra marathons. Yeah. So like in my head, up until I ran Chicago, that was just like the first step of like, you know, my life's adventure. I was like, I'm gonna run the, you know, Leadville 100. I wanted to do it all and go like all the way. And then I ran that marathon, and I was like, that was kind of enough. I was like, I kind of got it out of
26 is a lot.
I really got it out of my system. You know, it's a long time of running. There was the days before streaming media, so I only had so many podcasts. I had a lot of time to think.
Yeah.
Chicago is also known as it's known as like one of the easiest marathons because it's so flat. It's on sea level, and I was like, if I feel this way after the easiest one. Maybe Leadville's not for me.
Yeah, maybe like any race with a significant fatality rate attached to it probably doesn't need to be in my experience.
No, yeah, you're not missing out on anything besides a lot of sweat.
Yes.
But yeah, after that, like, yeah, I guess I kind of felt like you said, like I summited the mountain. You know, I was like, okay, I did the thing, and it felt like there was kind of like. Looking back on it now, it's almost like there was like this liminal space where there was no goal, there was no next thing, and so you know maybe that was just the mental break I needed to like honestly assess where I was at and like how I was feeling.
It's really interesting to me that you went that route instead of picking another goal. Like I think so many people have that experience of like, oh, I did a marathon, I guess now I do another one, or I go do an ultra.
Yeah.
Like, there is no time for that liminal space. It just becomes like people get there, they sit in it for like an hour, and they're like, this sucks.
What am I supposed to do?
What am I supposed to do? Like, and then they pick the next thing.
Right.
And it sounds like there was a big enough gap where you have to look at it and assess, like, is this what I want my life to continue to look like? And the answer, clearly was no. And kind of sent you down more of the strength side of things at least at that time.
Yeah, and it's funny now, like thinking about your story and thinking about like how the strength thing is where things started to like
Totally.
go downhill, and that was my uphill. It's like none of these things we're talking about are like inherently like good or bad.
No.
Like
Absolutely
running is
not.
awesome. It's fun to be strong. Yeah, it's just the way, I don't know. For me, it's the way I like approach it and the way I think about it and like what it's for.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah. And I definitely like, I did have goals, with the strength stuff, but it was more nebulous. I was like, I just want to get big and jacked. I wanted to like squat certain numbers and bench certain numbers and put up certain, all that, who doesn't? But yeah, it didn't like all consume me as much as running did.
it's super interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like lifting for me was never about the numbers.
Yeah.
Lifting for me was kind of that like pursuit of the six-pack for you. Lifting for me was always the aesthetic side. It was two things. It was the aesthetic side, and it was a way for me to like stand on the totem pole of life and be like, I'm better than this. Look at how like regimented I am, consistent I am. Look at my diet, look at my body. Like I am good.
I have it put together, as you can see.
Yeah, and then that eventually became like I am a minimalist, and my apartment's always clean, and like it spiraled in different directions. But yeah, it all started as like I just want to look okay.
Yeah.
I want to feel okay.
And what did that look like for you? Like what does your kind of chronological story look like? After lifting weights in the basement or doing push-ups in the basement with your buddy.
So one, just thank you for sharing yours. It's the first time I've gotten to hear every piece of that, at least in order, and it's amazing for me to look at the man I get to sit across from now and see like the whole story, and like even being where I'm at in my food and body journey now, where like I have, it's never done, but I have like summited that mountain. You are the person I look to as like, this guy's got it fucking figured out. And it's just, that's reinforced to me.
Yes, man, I'm touched. I don't often use that word, but I really am.
Of course, brother. So after I'm getting sweaty in the basement doing push-ups at 13, I resonated so much with what you said about like when you notice that other people's bodies look different than yours. There was this guy I want to say I met him in middle school, but it was like in my high school there was like a mandatory swimming class where and mine was first period, which like no one wants to, I would wake up and shower, and I had the long hair back then, so I was like, I look perfect, I'm ready to go, and you want me to swim?
You want me to mess up my do?
Unacceptable. And there's Mom! I mean, story for another time. In middle school, I would have my mom straighten my hair so that because when my hair gets long, it starts to wing out.
Yep.
And to have an optimal Bieber flow, I want. Don't look at me with that face.
I'm only laughing because you had your mom do it.
Yeah.
I straightened my own hair in high school for the same reason.
I want to superimpose just like our high school pictures over this discussion.
Oh, we can make that happen.
And anyway, so first period swimming, I always had what I would describe as like an average body.
Yeah.
Like I was not super skinny or super jacked. In like earlier on, like late elementary school, early middle school, I was a little bit on the chunkier side, and I got picked on for that. But it wasn't until high school where I saw this dude, his name was Adam, and he was just like shredded, like head to toe, and I was like, I don't look like that, but I feel like I probably should. Like, I don't even know where that came from, really. It's just like I associated that body with better than mine.
Yeah.
And that's when I started to take it, like the lifting stuff, super seriously. And like, I had wrestled in high school, which wrestling is just the most convenient packaging ever for giving as many dudes as possible in eating disorder at a really young age, and body dysmorphia and all sorts of things, because it becomes like, if I can't make weight, I am not good enough. If I am not wrestling at a lighter weight class, then like whatever I walk at, I'm like weak somehow, or I don't want to cut, or whatever. Like there's so many stories that go into that.
I want to put a pin in that too, because I want to talk about specifically dysmorphia
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
That's definitely
that's the pin.
pin noted.
Pin inserted.
So yeah, it was kind of a combination of seeing this dude with a body that like I thought I was supposed to have, being in wrestling, and then starting to lift weights. It kind of all happened at the same time. And where it really started to build momentum is I would go lift with my dad on the weekends. And prior to that, my dad was traveling Monday through Friday for most of my life. And so that was like really the only dedicated time I got with my dad. It was really the only time we ever talked, outside of like, hey, how are your grades? And I started to get a lot of like, I won't say admiration, but like he noticed. Like I would work hard in the gym, my body was changing, and I would get a lot of positive feedback from him, which I think like a lot of dudes in our generation, really all I ever wanted was approval from my dad and to feel like he was around and he cared, which he did in his own way. I'm not saying he didn't, but it just was never communicated in the way that resonated for me. And so I just started to get so much momentum, and then I started to like, I became like the strongest dude on the wrestling team, at least for like my weight class. And I remember my junior year, I did this like wrestling club called Team Overtime. It was one of the best clubs in the Midwest, and like I was like full send on wrestling. And I decided that was the year I was going to make varsity. I was going to make varsity at 152, and I walked at like 175. And so I remember like vividly every day was like, I can have like an apple, and I can have like half of a sandwich, and I'm gonna go run in like 5 layers, and if I don't, I'm not gonna make weight. If I don't make weight, I'm not gonna be on varsity, and if I'm not on varsity, I'm a worthless nerd. And it just kind of snowballed and became this like, every single day was this fight to be a number and to like belong at a place on the team. And it worked out perfectly that I actually got a really, really gnarly concussion, like right as varsity tryouts were happening. And so I didn't have any choice but to give my body a break, because that was not going to work for me. Like there was a kid on my team, his name was Sean. He cut 9 pounds in a day.
Whoa!
And then he passed out after he made weight and didn't get to wrestle. Like it was just this kind of insane drive to not only look a certain way, but yeah, perform a certain way, be a certain number. I ended up not wrestling my senior year, and I was just like full send on lifting. And so by the time I entered high school at like 140, and I graduated at almost 190.
Wow.
And almost all of that, I'm 5'9". Like
yeah.
I was, it's interesting that I'm lighter and smaller now than I was when I was at the end of high school.
You took full advantage of puberty.
Yeah.
You did puberty on God mode.
Yes, I did. It was like, yeah, death metal hard mode, just slayers it back. And I'm like, yeah, so I hormones. Leaving high school stacked, and I got to college, and dude, I like, in the next segment of Jordan's quest for belonging was joining a fraternity. And when I joined the fraternity, at that point I was like, good looking dude, lots of muscle, I was popular, I got along well, and I was also the life of the party. Like,
shocking.
Yeah, very different way than now. But was drinking to the point I was blacking out like 4 or 5 times a week, and through that whole time I was still lifting like religiously. It was kind of like I almost used that as a way to justify the rest of my behavior. Like I might be eating and drinking and being generally a degenerate, but at least I'm still in the gym.
Yeah.
At least I still look good.
I'm staying consistent there.
Dude, I associated with like I still have abs, so I'm good. Like every other moral decision I made no longer mattered.
Yeah.
It was like my body is good, so I'm good.
Everything else is great.
Everything else is just hunky dory.
You're good outside, great inside.
Yeah, inside, dumpster fire. Inside was a hot mess. And it was during that time of drinking that I started to get into self-harm and I started to become like really verbally abusive towards people I cared about a lot. Usually when I was so drunk I couldn't remember. And when at the worst of it, I had written a note talking about why I was saying my goodbyes. And my girlfriend at the time happened to, for whatever reason, she opened my phone. And I had passed out at this party working on it or reading it or something. And she read it. And God bless Addie's soul, she called my parents. And that saved my life. Full stop. And I dropped out after that. And that's when I started to actually bodybuild. And it was a way for me to funnel that uncertainty and that self-hatred into something that felt productive. And it was another way of again, it was proof that I'm doing so many good things with my life. Look at me, I dropped out of college, but I'm starting to build success in these different ways. I eventually met Afton, who would become my fiance, and she also competed. And so at that point, our whole life, morning to sundown, sunrise, whatever the saying is, was weighing our food, looking in the mirror, taking videos of each other posing, going to the gym, doing our cardio, rinse, wash, repeat.
And for a while, it was probably this is fucking perfect.
Dude, for a while, we were on cloud nine. We were the Colorado fitness couple. We were you guys are the future. And we moved to Seattle at one point. I have this really vivid memory of I was furious for literally no reason. I think we've joked about so many times, I'm pretty sure I dropped something. And the next thing I knew, dude, I was slamming all of my kitchen cabinets and kicking stuff and screaming and losing my mind because I had all of this anger and anxiety and doubt and self-hatred that I was just shoving down and trying to channel that through this bodybuilding. And it eventually got to the point where no matter how big I got, no matter how many shows I won or how lean I got, it just was never good enough, dude. The biggest I got was, again, I'm 5'9", 5'10" on Tinder, and at 5'9", the biggest I ever got was 235. At
235 at 5'9". Jesus.
Between 10 and 12% body fat, so it was majority
massive.
Muscle. Yeah, it was a refrigerator. My face, dude, it looks like I was a chipmunk. I was just always puffed out.
Yeah.
I was huge, and in the span of a month, I feel I'm talking more about my life trauma than my body trauma, but it's fine.
It's all connected.
It is. In the span of a month, Afton's mom passed away fairly unexpectedly from cancer. And then 3 weeks later, I got a heart infection and I almost died. And that heart infection was kind of my version of you're looking in the mirror after the marathon and I can't keep doing this. And that was kind of the start of my journey out of that world. And I never had what I would describe as a traditional anorexia or bulimia. For me was orthorexia and binge eating disorder. So orthorexia, for people who don't know, is the basically fear of any food that's not clean.
Yes.
So it's I could eat chicken and green beans and white rice and sweet potatoes and anything other than that.
Those are the good foods.
Would probably kill me.
I also had experience with that, somewhere in that spectrum.
Totally.
Trying to eat too healthy.
Yeah, exactly. And it becomes I remember one day for lunch we went to meet my parents at it's not around anymore. It was the worst name for a restaurant ever. It was called the Rusty Bucket. It's like
What's the name of the Rusty Bucket?
I feel like it's from it feels like it's from SpongeBob.
Yeah.
The Krusty Krab.
Did you manage to
Rusty
steal the secret formula before they closed?
Oh yeah, not good. But we were sitting there and I was staring at the menu, and I was having a panic attack because everything I looked at, I'm like, I don't know what's in this. I don't know how many calories it has, and I can't eat it.
You don't see any chicken breast,
No.
brown rice, or asparagus.
No, I see like sandwiches and cheeseburgers and pizza and all the things I actually wanted to eat for years, but I didn't know how to do it. I had like lost the ability to just be a normal human being around food.
Yeah.
And it took years after I stopped competing. So I stopped competing when I was like 23, going on 24. I'll be 28 this year. I don't think I had a good handle on it really until like the last year and a half. Really, since we've been friends, actually, is like when I started to actually come out the other side.
Wow.
Up until then, it was like a very, still a very, very much a daily battle for me.
Kind of a tumultuous relationship.
100%. Where it was still like finding, like I was tracking macros on and off. Actually, we met, I think, in
October
of 2019. Right?
Yeah.
So I started seeing my eating disorder therapist in September of 2018. So I had like a year under my belt of like seeking help.
Yeah.
Try. And then actually that trip to Japan right after we met was like the first time I had ever been able to go out into the world and not worry about what I was eating.
Wow. What was that like?
I mean, it's the best country in the world to be free of that.
Yeah. Much like you did puberty on God Mode. You did, good relationship with food for the first time in a while. On
God Mode.
Super God Mode.
It's
God Mode EX.
Oh, it's so true.
Japan, of all places.
It's so true. And that, like, man, what feels the best to me now, looking back, is like, when I was a kid, man, like, I got my first cookbook when I was like 5.
Mm-hmm.
And my whole childhood was around, like, learning how to cook and enjoy food. Like, I always had a really normal, healthy relationship with food and just eating what I wanted to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And what feels the best to me now is like I get to do that again.
Yeah.
But I get to do it again now with like this renewed perspective on how valuable that is and how much freedom around food in my body means to me.
Yeah, and this greater appreciation, and like not just an appreciation, but this clear like love for it.
Yeah, dude. Like it's
a love language.
It literally like yes, you know I love you if I cook for you,
yes.
or if I eat food with you.
Yeah.
Present company included, more than almost anyone
Same.
else. Yeah, like that was kind of the general story arc, I think, for me. And I think like maybe we cut it there for now, and we just talk about like we share our introductory stories.
Sure.
And maybe we do this again sometime.
Yeah, I would love that. Let's do it.
Amazing.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot more to unpack here.
There is a pin. Do you want to resolve the pin, or do you want to save that for?
I feel like dysmorphia could really get into like its own conversation, but like I remember that being like a big part of my story that I didn't talk about, while I was talking about it. That sentence didn't, you know what I mean?
Totally.
But yeah, I just remember a lot of, and I think we can unpack this more later again. There were a lot of feelings of like, I thought my body looked a certain way, and I thought it looked like bad for a certain reason, when in reality, it's a fucking body. It's completely normal,
Yep.
I remember specifically we had this photo of me and my two best friends, the guys I started going to the gym with, and they were all like shredded. I think we had gone like whitewater rafting with my dad one day, because that's what suburbanites do in Colorado. But we had gone whitewater rafting. We were all wearing just like white beaters or undershirts, and I remember looking at that photo and thinking I was fat at again as like a 17-year-old boy who maybe had I don't know, had a completely normal body, and I was like, I'm fat.
Yes, I resonate with that so much. Mine was more on the no matter how big I got or how lean I got, it was never enough of either one.
Yeah.
Like I have pictures of me where there's veins in my ass. Like I'm so peeled.
You showed us those.
Yeah,
they're
like,
nut. You look like a Dragon Ball Z character.
It's ridiculous. And I would look at those and be like, I'm not big enough.
Yeah.
I'm not big enough. I would have like veins coming out of every surface of my ass.
What body fat percentage do you think you were? And you were still like.
The leanest I ever got on calipers was 3.5. So realistically, it's probably more like 4 or 5. But at that point, it's splitting hairs. Like I basically had like visceral internal organ fat.
Yeah, that was survive for a day.
Dude, honestly, it felt that way sometimes. When I got my leanest, I was selling cars, and a big part of selling cars is like moving cars around the lot. And it was like a dedicated thought process for me to be able to like, okay, now I'm gonna get in the car. Okay, now I'm in the car. I'm gonna now turn the car on. Okay, I need to.
Because you're so exhausted.
So tired. Like every movement hurt, and then I would still go get under the bar and squat 400 pounds.
God.
And every part of my body was like dying, literally, because I almost did, like 3 months later, and it was never enough.
And again, in your head, you're like, I'm doing it.
I'm going to just like white knuckle this into submission. I'm going to white knuckle my life into submission. And one of my favorite things I've ever heard, and we've talked about this saying so many times, is I cannot be in control, but I can be in charge.
Yeah, I love that.
And what I came to realize is like, I don't get to be in control of my body. My body's got a body. I'm like, yeah, I can make decisions that help it feel better and move better and do these kinds of things, but
yeah.
At the end of the day,
It's to an extent.
yes. But I do get to be. I can be in charge of how I show up in the world and like how I behave and what I do. And learning to free myself from all the preoccupation with like food and body and fitness and these kinds of things, like I was able to integrate them in a way that resonate with me now, and then free my mind for so many other things. It's amazing how much bandwidth this conversation takes up.
Yeah.
When you're in it.
Yeah.
It's like it's everything. It's
And when it's entirely internal.
yeah, because I'm not running around like talking to people about like, hey, so right now I'm thinking about like what I'm going to eat in 2 hours, and it's going to be 7 ounces of chicken, and it's going to be white rice.
Just you going back and forth with the little voice in your head.
And like especially when I was tracking macros, it would be like, can I put on like 2 tablespoons of ketchup? Like what kind of carbs do I have left after I do that?
Yeah.
Like story from
How
the
much
time.
fiber's in that?
Tracking macros, I think, is actually the most dangerous eating disorder of all of them.
Ooh, interesting.
That's my hot take. Story for another time. But yeah, that was the worst it ever was for me, was when I was tracking macros.
Yeah.
Even though that's supposed to be like the flexible dieting. Yeah. I don't want to stop talking about this. It's so much fun. But speaking of food, there's food to be eaten and prepared.
Let's eat some food. Let's make some food. We're not doing shit. Sarah's making the food.
Sarah's making the food. But dude, thank you so much.
Thank you. This was a pleasure. Yeah, let's do this again sometime.
Yes, sir. All right.
Bye, YouTube.
You heard us at the beginning. Just
spank that little like button. Butt. Spank its butt. Ooh, it's been a bad button.